So you've seen how Jim+Harrell chose to handle this negative information that he had a terminal illness. I think there are many, many lessons that we can learn from Jim about handling this type of thing in our own lives.
Probably the most powerful thing that Jim has taught me in observing him over the last number of years, that what it's really about is your relationship with God. That what it's really about is the eternal perspective.
I guess the lesson would be, and what I see in Jim, is this understanding that it's not about me. And that's a hard thing to comprehend. We're all so focused on what's in it for me, or how I can get myself here, or how I can scheme and plot and plan my way to get things done the way I want them to get done, or to have the result that I want to have done. But this is a classic example of Jim being taken someplace where he does not want to go, and that is into a diagnosis of ALS. And at the same time, the spiritual lesson that Jim has given me is that there is a bigger thing going on here than just my physical demise.
I've really respected Jim in that he's learned to lean in and lean on Jesus. And I think that would be the lesson that I've learned the most from him.
Some people give up and quit when they get an incurable disease, but the thing that really impressed me is that Jim did not give up. He didn't sort of resign himself to his fate and said, well, I've got this disease and that's it. He decided to do something about it. He decided that he was going to see what God wanted to do in his life. Obviously, this was something that he traced to the hand of the Lord, and not in any judgmental way, but for whatever reasons, God said, you know, this is it, and you've got to face it, and you can face it with me or without me. And so Jim made a deliberate choice that he was going to walk through this with the Lord and with his friends, with prayer.
I've heard the analogy that it's not a mountaintop or a valley, but it's almost two tracks we're on, a good track and a bad track. And while we have bad things happen to us in our lives, at the same time we have a lot of good things. And we have to understand that God is really in control, and it's God who is going to take us through those difficult times. Because all of us, whether we have a terminal illness or not, are going to be going through and experiencing some very difficult times.
Do I discount what he goes through every single day? Does it make me cringe every time I see his face writhe in pain when he just wants to go to the men's room? No. I mean, it's real. It's there. But Jim looks beyond that. And he looks beyond that which is happening to him to others that can either, number one, learn from what he's doing, or maybe approach and embrace the same faith that he has.
Suffering is the icy cold splash that wakes us up from the complacency of living this life. That we truly don't see God and see His purpose, see His strength without suffering, because we just become too comfortable.
So he's taught me that there's a lot more to what's going on than my mortgage or my cars or my investments or even my family. That what it's really about at the end of the day is, do I have a hold of the Heavenly Father's hand?
Folks, we can't be ready for Jesus unless we treat life as sacred. And we can't treat life as sacred if our eyes are not focused on eternity. And we don't focus on eternity if we don't remember to number our days. I know my days are numbered, but so are all of yours. Lou+Gehrig describes a man building an adult version of a sandcastle, comprised of work, family, and other accomplishments. Like all of us, he's proud of his life's work. But although he knows it's coming, it's inevitable, he still is unprepared for the waves which will wash it all away, and he panics. Lou+Gehrig also describes a child building a sandcastle on the beach. The child works all day delighting in what he is creating, knowing all the time what will happen when the tide comes in. Lou+Gehrig writes, As the waves near, the wise child jumps to his feet and begins to clap. There is no sorrow, no fear, no regret. He knew this would happen. He is not surprised. And when the great breaker crashes in his castle and his masterpiece is sucked into the sea, he smiles. He smiles, picks up his tools, takes his father's hand, and goes home. Life is sacred. Count your days. Mine are probably shorter than all of yours. But thanks be to God that because of ALS, I can now look forward to when that last wave crashes in. I smile, look into the face of Jesus, take hold of his nail-scarred hand, and go home. Thank you.
Jim+Harrell is my friend, and I've wanted you to hear his story because it's changed my life. And I believe his story can change your life as well. When faced with a terrible situation, the ugly news that he was going to die, Jim made a choice. And he chose to live with hope. He chose to have an eternal perspective. I believe by making that choice, he changed the way he would live his life, and he changed the lives of those around him. This is an important point that we get to, and every one of us has a chance to make that same choice. Everyone struggles in life. Everyone goes through difficult times. No one has a perfect life. And we all come to points when we can make a decision about how we will handle the crisis or the problem we're going through. Either we'll handle it our way, or we'll handle it with an eternal perspective. So what will your choice be?